Hello, my name is Eddie Tofpik. I'm Head of Technical Analysis and Senior Markets Analyst at ADM Investor Services International Limited. And here is your weekly technical analysis of LME 3-month lead and tin. LME 3-month lead. I've reduced here the previously off-highlighted November 2022 to May 2023 broken descending wedge pattern. It is no longer highlighted. It looked a good pattern at the time, but it was not did not have an appropriate outcome, despite giving it plenty of time to do so. 18 weeks ago, I said at the time about this pattern, and I quote, "The optimization I've undertaken makes me suspicious about the veracity of this possible pattern, but I'd rather say it and only look a fool now than have it confirmed later on." End of quote. Thus, I will consider this pattern no more. Instead, what we have had since about March has been a more or less sideways movement through to the middle of May. The price is capped by layered resistances and sustained by layered supports. On the top side, we had resistance from the overhead 50% Fibonacci line, the March 20 to March 2022 move at 21.35. And in the past, from the medium moving average, currently at 21.03, and to a lesser extent by the short medium moving average, currently at 20.93. Then in the middle of May, prices dipped down and chose to test down below all the moving averages and down to the neckline, currently at 1944, of the old November 2022 to February 2023 head and shoulders continuation pattern, where they finally found some support. This support saw a rally through June, up through the previously mentioned resistances, and halt, again, the same lower trendline extension, the May to June 2021 descending triangle, which has been so influential here, and that's currently at 21.83, and highlighted in purple on my daily chart. This was an important stopping point, and we will see it again shortly, as it had previously made the highs in May, mid-April, late, mid and early February this year. And you will see all these highs have been around the trendline extension, despite being broken in November last year, and that's through to January this year. This purple trendline has developed some form in recent months in capping any rise. Anyway, in late June, prices dropped down again through this time only as far as the January 2020 high at 2039 before reverting back up. And once again, last week, getting stuck at the purple neckline once again. I said we would see this neckline. This is the 7th time it has capped the market. So what has all these gyrations, what have they ended up with? Well, the obvious one is the strength of the purple neckline, but it's more than just that. As the whole of the February to July action, well, that can be seen as a reverse head and shoulders pattern. I've marked the head and shoulders with question marks on this, as it's far from an ideal pattern. The question on this is still open as to whether it is a continuation pattern or a bottom. Watching the action around that purple neckline, as that will actually keep a watch on that action around that purple neckline, as it will give the first clue to A, whether it is a reverse head and shoulders pattern, and B, as to whether it is a continuation pattern or a bottom. Then there is a more immediate pattern around another reverse head and shoulders pattern formed over the late June to late July period. It is sloped and small, but I've highlighted neckline in bright red, currently at 21.68. Last week it looked like we have a break higher over this neckline, but since then the more powerful purple neckline has tempered the move up, such that we are back below the red neckline, and I'm not prepared to lay out any potential topside targets for this pattern, not yet. Why? Well, it's because in normal circumstances I would happily put out some targets for this pattern, but this small reverse head and shoulders pattern is a sideshow and a small one compared to the bigger one, and that's defined by that purple neckline. LME 3-month tin. The most obvious feature here continues to be the late October 2022 to mid-March 2023 bullish shift pitch walk, which is highlighted in dark blue on my daily chart. I drew this back at the end of April, just as we were going into May, and despite attempts lower, it still gives the main bullish angle of attack of this market. We're currently in between the lower time below, and that's currently at 25,665, and the middle time above, currently at 31,990. It's at this point I'd like to draw your attention to the moving averages. They had in the past affected the market operations, sometimes on a daily basis. But I first draw your attention to the long moving average, way below the market, currently at 25,200. You see, we have a series of stratified supports that slowed and eventually halted the market's earlier attempts lower. Into these, back in late March, entered the now slowly rising long moving average to initially reinforce them, but then, which it did admirably. On top of that, the lower time had been traversing through these supports, and 8 weeks ago it crossed up over the long moving average, thus reinforcing the support even more. Closer to the market, we have the 2012 high support now at 25,875, with the medium moving average currently 26,025, just pushing above it. Even closer is the rising short medium moving average, currently 26,880, which is now approaching the congestion of the recent January to March 50% Fibonacci line at 27,155, and which the market is also approaching, but this time that's coming from above, as it was thwarted in moving higher, but of all things the July 2011 high at 29,005. So overall, the market continues to move in between the middle time overhead and the lower time below of the big bullish shift pitchfork, and until these are dealt with, one way or another, then the pitchfork will continue to run this market.
Thank you for listening. This weekly broadcast gives the essential market patterns and consequences. Please be aware of the risk disclaimer posted both at the front and the back of this broadcast. Copyright is Eddie Tofpik and ADM Investor Services International Limited. And here comes the final important bit.